are locked in. We are just about to go to do our episode with Elfried Samba, former head of social media at Gymshark.
C'est vous, ça va?
Oui.
Ça va bien?
One mic, yeah. One mic, bro.
On the mic, you know what I'm saying?
We're here, bro. We're outside. Blocks to bags. Let's get it done. Let's get it done.
And listen, this is the Cannes to the London episode right now. We've been in VIP at the Olympic Stadium. We've been on yachts. We've had dinners with people who've got businesses worth over 100 mil, 900 mil.
We appreciate everything. We know your life is crazy. You'll be going in different continents. What's life looking like for you in 2024?
Do you know what? Hopefully better weather. So I'm obviously moving out to the Middle East. So
we're going to talk about moving, because he's not moved for the first time. So this is a man. This is a man who's constantly on the move.
Getting robbed out there, yeah.
Bro, I wear Fitbit, bro. Like that's me. I come in budget. I come in Air Force Ones. You're not seeing me no red bottoms. You're not seeing me no rollies, bro.
But we're seeing you with the fedora.
Yeah, but if somebody wants to rob the fedora, I'm gonna have to get involved, bro.
Yes, my people. It's Blocks to Bags. I'm your boy Beej.
I'm your boy Seb.
And this is that episode where you get everything business, tech, creator. We're bringing you gems on gems and gems in our respect, stuff that we think is interesting. Yo, Seb, what's been going on recently?
A lot has been going on. We've been preparing for 2024. We got our Christmas party, which is popping. And this is going to be the first episode of 2024. And we've been blessed with a big guest. What?
They say numbers on the board.
Numbers on the board. What?
First person shooter mode.
First person shooter mode. What?
Mr. Elfried Samba. You might know him as Mr. Gymshark. You might now know him as Mr. Butterfly Effect.
Some people might know him as Mr. LinkedIn.
Mr. LinkedIn.
Some people might know him as Mr. Fedora. You know what I'm saying?
Yo, Elf, welcome to the show, my brother.
Cheers, guys. I'm happy to be on. Like I said, I was saying off camera that I was really looking forward to just like going organic with you guys, because I love what you guys are doing. We're all good friends. We've all spoken for a long time. And if I make the move out to the Middle East, I thought I'll pull up on you guys, man. Let's make it happen.
Come on. Now, that is obviously a big milestone to start at. You know, you've just built an agency. You've had a great year. London was your home. Yeah. We've seen you do paddleboarding. We've seen you in the stadiums. We've seen you go to different sick places. I've been there as well. You know what I'm saying? You even got married this year, my guy. But the move to UAE. How are you preparing for such a move, and how are you going to be interacting with your teams?
To be honest, I'm trying not to think about it too much, right? Okay. So not another Drake track. But I thought you were going to put the sound effect there. But so usually for me, I like to be overly planned. Like in the long term, especially when you're making big moves, I like to think about it a little bit too much. And then when I went to Cannes, right, because obviously I got married earlier this year, and then we had the second part of our wedding in Dubai, because that's where my wife's family is from, and they wanted to make sure we celebrated with them as well. And I really just like fell in love with the place, because it was the first place where I could actually relax, right? It's the only place where that actually forced me to be present, which is really great. And then when I went to Cannes, we were all at Cannes. I spoke to a couple of the guys there, and they're all moving over there. And it just feels like all the movers and shakers are either thinking about it, doing it, or know someone that's done it. Mm-hmm. And initially the idea was maybe we move there in a couple of years, but then me and my wife looked at each other and said, you know what, fuck it. Let's go. Let's take the leap. Our parents made the move, right? Yeah. So why not we? It seems like it's that time, and we're going to go there and find our feet. So going back to your question about how that impacts the company, we're very, very lucky that we have like a nomad business model, right? So my co-founder currently lives in Cancun, right? We have people, we almost like started global. We have people in Atlanta, people in New York, people in Manchester, people in London, Birmingham. So really just a time zone shift. But it makes my life easier because I can get stuff done in the morning. Yeah, I can go to the gym. Right now, my gym schedule is like all over the place. I'm really looking forward to having those 3 hours like ahead, so I can set my foundations and then just connect with people at night.
I literally call it living in the future.
Yeah. Different time zones and that. And I love how we're talking off mic, how you're a mover. You know what I'm saying? different countries, different places. We met in Cannes. You spoke at our first event on our yacht, which was amazing. And you were telling us about this new agency that you're launching. Not only have you been moving countries, but you've also moved in terms of like your career and what you're kind of doing from an operator to a founder. So talk to me about that move. You killed it at Gymshark. Talk to us about the next move after that.
So obviously I was there for 7 years, and I never considered myself to be an entrepreneur. I could only dream to be one, right? Because I think I put myself in a box that I was first and foremost a social person, then an overall creative. And then when I was first setting up Butterfly Effect, I was having real honest conversations with myself about whether I felt that I was the right person to be the CEO of the business, right?
Okay.
But then it was only when obviously Ben became a CEO of Gymshark, but then also after looking at where the world's going, I just realized that the world needs more of an EQ-based CEO, right? Because with technology becoming more sophisticated, with most businesses having operational-based people at the helm, I thought that the point of difference would be people that actually understands people, right? People that values the gray, people that value the things that you can't measure and duplicated and replicated.
So
and if you have shortcomings when it comes to the operational skills, just partner up with people that are better than you, right? And I think that that's the thing that any leader should try to follow is like just hire people that are better than you, different to you, have the humility to not put yourself in the way, and let them create the atmosphere. And that's why I partnered up with my co-founder, who's way better than me in the operational end, standing up finance, etc. And then we went on our way, man. And now I think we just failed until we got something right. And it seems like brands seem to like the fresh perspective that we're bringing to the table. So we're just trying to do a lot of learning to understand the space, and then do a lot of unlearning to bring a fresh perspective that clients are just not used to. So that's what we're trying to do, man.
Love that. Your story's been documented on a few different shows, and you've been actively on the road. So, you know, earlier this year, you and another friend of the show, Yvonne, were both on a Vodafone campaign. You obviously done a talk with our friend Maz at Translate, recently at FB. I wanted to just double down on your LinkedIn. So I've done a bit of looking and understanding of what it takes to be a rock star,
global rock star.
So we had a guest recently he does a reel when he got 20,000 new followers from one reel, you know. So his content is really sticky and it's working, and he's a property guy, but he's doing skits. He's just like really watching and understanding his audience, but also seeing what could connect without keeping it too serious. So he actually did a live demonstration for us here on us working on a skit.
It's a masterclass essentially.
Now,
amazing.
Seb's been like onto me and onto the team about LinkedIn for years. I would join LinkedIn as a 15-year-old in 2010.
Amazing.
So I've been there for a hot minute. And there's audiences there who know me for different things. And recently I've just been, you know, playing around, and let's just be consistent with it. You've obviously been consistent for a while, and a couple of things that I noted that let's play a little trivia game to see if Elfried actually thinks this is true or not. And then after that we can maybe like give some tips on what people can do practically with the LinkedIn today. So the little trivia right now is Mr. Elfried Samba. So the themes: pictures with short quotes or diagrams, even post memes occasionally. True or false?
True.
Mixture of really short captions that explain the photo and long posts that break down the bigger ideas shown by the photo. True or false?
I feel seen. True.
For longer posts, starts off with a short heading and then gives an intro, and then delves in the deeper, breaking each point with an emoji. True or false?
True.
Rarely posts about himself, mostly posts about self-care and advice.
True.
And that is the Elfried Samba playbook. if I was Nardo, I'd be like,
But the thing is, I think the great thing about content is that the what is there for everybody to see, right? And that's why I think there was a conversation with Jay-Z when they asked him the question, like, should people be taking 500K or dinner with Jay-Z? And he said that Well, all the advice is in his rap music, right?
Yeah.
So when people ask me like, how do I post on LinkedIn, whatever, I'm like, it's all on there. So if you're a practitioner, it's obvious. It's nothing crazy. I think I guess the right question is why, right? Why do you take that approach, right? And I think the reason why I take that approach is because I have a very selfish, value first mantra, right? I don't want people. I think there's a Drake line that says he wants to be known for the music, right? Not the gimmicks, right? And I was like, I want to be known on the platform for how I think, not for who I am, right? So regardless of what I'm attached to and how my life changes, how I think and my perspective will never change. So whether I'm at Gymshark or whether I'm at Butterfly Effect or whether I'm doing something else, I think that that can be something that's like infinite game, right? And that's why I never like to make my content about something that I'm doing right now. It actually used to be a lot about like marketing activations that I thought were just really dope. And I still post them every now and again. But then I realized again, if I'm going to be making this transition from social/marketing person to CEO, I need to broaden my subject matter. And actually the people that follow me, when I looked at the data, was predominantly founders. I think over time, at the start, it was like marketeers looking for tactics and looking for a way to wow their team. And then slowly, founders and more senior people started following me. So I said, what can I add of value to them? And I think the big element was all the learnings and the failings that I'm getting through my journey. I'm just like giving it away to people that are willing to listen. And it seems like a lot of people are listening.
Yeah.
Love that.
So
Gems.
you're basically saying, guys, you need to
Step it up. 2024. Interesting fact for you actually on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
It's still a hugely, massively growing platform, but only less than 1% of people post content on LinkedIn.
Wow.
So going like for 2024, give us like the 3 things that people could do to get started on their LinkedIn journey, and hopefully put up the numbers that maybe you put up one day. Do you know what I'm saying? We're talking
100,000 likes a
on a
post.
post, 100,000 likes on a post on LinkedIn. Crazy.
Do you know what I've realized, right? There's 3 platforms.
2,000 on a light day for breakfast. That's a barrel day for me. That's a super barrel day for me.
Yo, that's Christmas for a lot of people,
Bro.
you know.
Bro, so do you know what I've realized, right? There's 3 different platforms. People always ask me like, which platform should they consider like spending their time and efforts? And I always say, go to platforms where there's more consumers than they are like people that are actually getting involved, right? If there's a low barrier to entry for content, that means there's a lot of noise and it's very difficult for you to like stand out. Whereas YouTube is hard to do. So not a lot of people do it. So that's why YouTubers are still doing very well.
And at this point, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe.
Come on, people.
There we
Keep
go.
notifications on.
They're working hella hard.
If you're enjoying this content, share it one person. Change one person's life. Let's go.
There we go, and then buy a hat. So YouTube is one, and that's why YouTubers, it's a lot of commitment to follow a YouTube channel. And if you're following it all the way through, you have a deeper level of connection with the people that you're listening to. It's kind of like the difference between a television series star versus a movie star, right? A movie star, you see them as this like big figure that they're not approachable, but you almost like hail to them. Whereas as a person that you see on your TV every single day and you spend time with, it's almost like you feel like you know them and you expect them to know you, right? So it's like, that's the deeper level of connection that's happening with YouTubers, which is why I'm seeing the same thing with Twitch streamers, right?
Yes.
Some people are sitting there and watching like Kai Cenat just like for hours.
Hours.
Do you know how much you know how hard that is? Like, imagine if you put a camera here and people just watching you.
No, it's a thing. I definitely have done that with the football channels, the guys who do like Football Manager, the football, like the guys that do scouting reports. Yeah. Like I've got like 100 hours of like Stephen Howson, 100 hours of Vibe with Five.
Wow.
If you guys think about the amount of hours you watch AFTV as Arsenal
That's
fans.
crazy, yeah.
I'm not even an Arsenal fan, but I've definitely got more than 100
exactly.
hours.
Oh, 100%.
So you feel like you know my man who wears the Arsenal kit all the time. Don't want to name him.
Yeah, but the thing is, like literally, But literally, I've listened in on some of the podcasts, and people like speak to them like if they know them all the time, and they almost have to play this role like they do, right?
Yeah.
And but going back to like the original question, when you look at YouTube, the high barrier to entry is effort and consistency. When you look at streaming, it's like safety, right? And also like this consistency as well, there's time, and then you have to go through like hours and no one's watching.
Yeah.
And when you look at platforms like TikTok, it's embarrassment, right? That's a barrier to entry. Some people just don't want to play the game and look silly. So therefore, there's still the same people pop up on your screen. Now with LinkedIn, it's your career, or at least what you think the danger of your career is, because it's the only platform where you can't hide who you are, what your background is, and everybody that you work with watch. So just by that human fear, people are hesitant to create because businesses feel uncomfortable with their employees being out there, right?
Yeah.
So just because of that mental block, there's always going to be more consumers than creators. So if you happen to be in a position where you can back yourself and just share your ideas. Now, it's not really dangerous if the reason why you're using it is to share helpful stuff, right?
Yeah.
So if you're there to make a name out of yourself for controversy purposes, then you're never going to do very well. Then you have a reason to fear. That if you actually want to grow on LinkedIn, positivity and support is the key, right? It's less about how much do I take, but more how much do I give. And actually, an open-minded business will realize that actually works great for our brand, because if we've got employees that are out there making the world a better place, then that almost like connotation and has a knock-on effect on the business itself. So go on it, man. It's fugazi fugazi.
Yeah, no, that is some gems there. LinkedIn 2024. When did you join LinkedIn?
I joined LinkedIn properly around 2011.
Yeah.
That's the first time I joined, but then I was a little bit like
On and off.
on and off.
Yeah, weren't we all?
I really went in on it around 2018.
Nice. You're probably not even doing what you were doing in 2018 now. So, as someone who is, at the forefront, leading from the front, putting numbers on the board, you've obviously now given us a context and mindset, how to approach these different platforms. How should one approach their content calendar or their content planning? Is everything freestyle, or are there stuff? I think what I've taken from hanging out with you is we've got stuff loaded, and then we add the flavor depending on the day. But I just want to know because on YouTube and Instagram, there's so many videos you can watch around how to content plan for those platforms. But I don't think we've heard from a top tier LinkedIner on how they should be content planning in Jan 2024. But this can work any time next year.
Yeah. So I've tried a lot of different ways to make my life easier. Right? When you're getting married, running a business, doing all these different things, posting, and my whole thing is like I share an idea every single day. Like I want to give one spark moment to somebody every single day. And I've been doing that for like 4 years. So
Nice.
not more than 4 years.
Even on a
actually.
Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah, not Saturday, Sunday, because I realized that unless some major news happens, right? So if there's a big thing that happens, it's a global moment, then on Saturday and Sunday I post. Whereas I realized that the LinkedIn activity is very like aligned with like the working culture.
Yeah.
So people only go on LinkedIn when they're in a work mindset.
Yeah.
They
Going to
spend-
work, at work,
Yeah.
or coming home from work.
Whereas if you're on YouTube, right, when people have a lot more
Anytime, yeah.
time, they'll prefer to spend that time there, and context really matters. But by going back to the original question about what works in 2024, or at least my approach.
Yeah,
So,
your planning approach.
yeah, I tried on a Sunday I plan every single post from Monday to Friday, and it doesn't work. The reason why it doesn't work is because I feel like the LinkedIn algorithm is it's in constant evolution mode, right? Because a lot of people are looking for the easy way to do LinkedIn, it's not allowing you to have
Just
like
schedule and go away.
to schedule and have a blueprint, because they don't want to turn it into like a spammy based platform. Because what happens is if the business people decide to leave, then the platform all goes to like crap, right? So they're always moving the goalposts, right? But then also the big thing about the LinkedIn algorithm that people don't understand, that it's actually not about the post, it's all about the connections that's happening as the post goes out. So if you seem to be active in your comment section, actually, if people are commenting like really useful stuff and they're responding with even more valuable stuff that's generating engagement within the comments, you're more likely to have more viral posts, right? So it's not just about when you post and what you've posted. It's also within the opening minutes, especially, how active are you in the comment section? So my approach is, whenever I see something that I want to post, if it's something that I feel is like relevant to how I feel right now, I just post it straight away. But how I maintain some form of like order and not just chaos is that on Sunday, I just put all the things that I've screenshotted, and I have my almost like coordinator, Eddie. He knows like the type of things that I like. We have like a Slack channel. We just have all these screenshots filled in. And then really on Monday at 8 a.m., I'm like, how do I feel? Like, which is the one that resonates most with how I feel and what I want to share today? So there's like a lot of organized chaos there, which is I put everything in one place, and then whatever forces a reaction out of me, and I'm like, you know what, I have something to like add to that today, and I feel like it feels like the right thing to post today. I just do that, right? And then when people are in, I'm just like, I not only 8 a.m., I have it scheduled for the post, but I also block out like the first 15 minutes, first 20 minutes to come back.
To engage and
then I come back an hour later to engage. It's actually me in the comment section engaging with all the different posts. You have to put in the work for LinkedIn.
It's you, yeah. You're letting the audio. You're talking to Alfred, yeah.
Yeah. It's me doing it. That's why a lot of people, when they see me in person, they're like, "It's actually you." I'm like, "Yeah, it is." And even though I outsource the system, the thinking around it is still things that I would post, right? It's still like giving me more variety, because that takes a lot of time.
What about the actual posts?
That's all me, man.
Yeah.
So how I break it down is, it's the first thing is how do I react when I see that post for the first time? How do I feel, which is usually the opening caption, and then what value do I think I can add to somebody else in a very simple but profound way?
Yeah.
Because I think that what I'm trying to do is almost like I never like using jargon, right? Because going back to the whole Einstein theory about if you really understand something, you can explain it to a 7-year-old, right? So I like to be the person that like translate like really complex, and usually the images that I use are because I think we were speaking about this. I understood, and I did NLP training, right? That people think...
we ain't going to sell a course to you guys right now. Don't worry.
No worries. You can...
What is NLP? Natural language?
It's a neuro-linguistic programming, right?
Yeah.
And the reason
it's a very
why...
special cool, the skill you can have.
Oh, it's so good, because I think a lot of people understand courses that help you understand yourself, right? A lot of people, like, self-awareness is one of the most important things in business, and everybody knows that. But then do you understand how other people think, right? And how people think differently to you. Yeah. That was the key thing about this. And what I understood is that people learn in 4 different ways, right? So the first one is visual learners, right? People like to see things for them to be able to like understand. The other one is like auditory, so they hear what they hear, and how that's why podcasts do so well. Then you got your digital, they like lists and breakdowns and data. And then you got your kinesthetic people. It's how they feel, right? And then often than not, when you go to like a car dealership, they'll show you how the car looks, right? They'll let you listen to the engine or the music system. They'll give you the data for like why it's good, etc. And then they ask you to step into the car and say, how does it feel? They hit all 4, right? So with my posts, although I can't do the verbal bit, that's why I come to these platforms for, right? Mm-hmm. I try to hit the other 3. So I'm like, how is it visual? So something that's very simple, that summarizes a very complex thing.
Yeah.
Digital, I always give steps of how you can actually apply it. And kinesthetic is my tone of voice, right? Because you can give somebody, it's thought out, man. Like kinesthetic is how does my post make you feel? Do I make you feel inferior? Do I make you feel like you're dumb? Do I make you feel like, no, it's about actually, this is something that anybody can take and look really great in front of like a senior person in your company, because I'm there to help you, right?
Yeah.
And the target audience that I have in my brain, if you look at my Instagram, it's a picture of me when I was 10 years old, right? It's like, what are the little cookie crumbs that I can leave back so that if I was to be reincarnated, I'd get right back to where I was. That's effectively who my target audience is.
No, I love that. That is something that everyone can go and apply straight away. And to be honest, just rolling with you the last couple of months, it's kind of something I noted. So I've got a WhatsApp with my assistant producer who works on shows with me and my PA, and we literally just put in stuff that I find interesting. As like, well, cause I'm someone who always DMs people content. Like if you're my friend,
Constantly.
like the way I catch up with you, I'm not a how you doing today, how you doing today, how you doing today. Like,
multi-platform DMs as well.
yeah, I'll be like, I'll just hit you with a music video one day. Sometime it'll be a meme. It's let you know I'm thinking of you, but something that I know that we'll both have value in, and just way to keep up with people. And I find actually sometimes that thing that I have a feeling about is actually great content to be shared. Yeah. I just had a system where I was doing it for my friends, but if people knew that perspective, that would be interesting. So now there's some things I'm seeing where I'm like, actually, let's put a twist on this. Like, actually, what does this mean for entrepreneurs? What does this mean for creators? What does this mean for young people? So yeah, that's been like a real joy. And I tried the approach of scheduling, but I quickly found that actually I'm going to feel different every day. So actually what I'm enjoying is what you said, like having a library of things I could post. I've got literally 20 posts that are written, and then I will tweak it. And every week I just try to add another 5. And then sometimes whatever I had scheduled for the next 3 days might just get scratched off because I'm like, I'm actually in a real zone in life and I don't want to post, but I need to get more in the habit of like just one value a day, because the algorithm, or actually the platform, just rewards consistency. And the last 30 days in particular, my impressions have gone up 4,000%. So I'm like, to the point where you just bring it up to me like, oh, I see your shit. I'm like, oh, okay, shit, we got to keep working. Keep doing that. My friend Renee, keep doing that. So I think the word from that, like we've set up like engagement groups, and I feel like these things were like things that worked on Twitter years ago, and now it's like, even with Seb, like he was posting Bear in the Summer, and real life people were like, oh my god, I'm seeing you, da. So
do you know what it is like?
So what you're saying for me is the truth. For
LinkedIn
real.
is such an interesting place. When I was posting on there, like I was just like, because obviously at Gymshark we were getting mad numbers, right? Like I think he got to like, I think the year that I left, we got to like 3.5 billion impressions, right? Like we're going to like the 4s, the 5s, like a year. And so I was used to those numbers. So when I was posting a couple thousand, it was like, oh, it's cool. And then you go into certain circles, like you go to like the business one, people are like, yeah, I follow you on LinkedIn. I'm like, what? Like even today I was just at Snapchat and the whole team were like, yeah, we follow you on LinkedIn. I'm like, it's like there's real people and it's people of influence. Like,
that's why it's so powerful as well, isn't it?
So
like it's real people of influence on LinkedIn, and it's like whenever founders and even just people that want to work with founders come and talk to me, I'm like, all right, cool. Even if your product is B2C, you're going to be raising money from investors and that kind of ecosystem, and it's on LinkedIn. So we really encourage founders and entrepreneurs to be active, even if there is no, like we were just with a founder yesterday, right? Sportswear, kind of apparel, that kind of sector. And it's like, when you're trying to raise money, that's when you go on LinkedIn. But if you already build a brand and an audience beforehand, the distribution's already there for whatever product or service you're trying to roll out.
You might not even like, I didn't have to make a business plan to get funding for my business, right? Like that's how powerful it is, right? You get opportunities that are not in the job market.
Absolutely.
You get exposed to people that are not attainable, right? Because at the end of the day, when you dedicate yourself to constantly giving value to other people, they recognize that says a lot about your morals, right? And that's what a lot of people that are investing look at, right? Do I trust this person? Are they consistent? Do they have an open mind? How would they treat their team, right? A lot of the reasons are a contributing factor to why people invest in businesses, whether they trust the founder or not, right?
Facts.
Now, if you like are bare to the world and you demonstrate like your values, how you see the world, people already know how you think. Going back to the whole sitcom thing, they already know me, right? So they know what I can do. They know what I value. They know that I'm trying to do something, and they know that my word is bond. And when I said I'm going to do something, I commit and I dedicate it. I do it.
I got 2 questions.
Yeah.
One's around immigration mentality, immigrant mentality.
Immigrant, yeah. Immigration nation. Come on.
Immigration. But before we touch on that, let's wrap up the LinkedIn bit because I think we're on a very good streak here. On YouTube and Instagram, so this is from my influencer days, there is a difference in, 0 to 1,000, 1,000 to 10,000, and 10,000 to 100,000, both on, how you post, what you do and don't kind of engage in, and then just how you approach the back end side of things, the data and the partnership side of things that come in. On LinkedIn, if someone's trying to get from 1,000 to 10,000 followers, and then 10,000 to 100,000 followers, would you advise two different strategies, or is it the same strategy?
Oh, it is. This is the shocking thing. It's exactly the same. It is exactly the same. You have to, because I don't think...
Because YouTube is different. YouTube is like, you need to do mass and find what works.
Yeah.
And then when something works, you then need to be consistent on that theme and drop a couple of stuff off.
Yeah.
And then at some point, you then start doing collaborations.
Yeah.
And collaborations give you credibility. And then you choose whether you want to be general or go themed. But you're saying that strat that you've gave us, if you run that...
The thing is I think what changes is the subject matter, right? Because as you grow, this is what changes. Your audience that you're focusing on, you find a niche, right? And you say, I want to be known for marketing first, right? And then whilst you're you found content market fit, you start to, like I say, 80-20, that becomes 80% of your content, and you test things out that you can attach alongside it. So you're not just one-dimensional, right? So let's say, for example, a lot of people built that audience, because I had a bit of a lull period, right? I was still posting every day, but I wasn't growing.
Well, give us a live example. We're building blocks of bags. We want to tell, we've seen numbers game through great on Instagram. So we know telling and celebrating stories of people is great. We're building Bag Drop. We're looking to help investors find people to back, and we're looking for founders to raise money. Just in between our little circle here, we've had access to some of the best black businesses in the UK, whether it be Timo, he worked with him, whether it be Wilfred, I knew him when he was at Google, whether it be Ivan, I went to school with him. We have access to the people who are raising the rounds right now. We know LinkedIn is a beautiful place, and we're seeing some other creators drop content on other people and get mad numbers with their hooks. How would you suggest we go on this journey, just to apply it properly live?
Well, going back to the whole thing about, it depends on who you're trying to market and whose attention you're trying to get. But if you look at the macro of people on LinkedIn, let's break it down. It's busy people, right? Yeah. So they don't have a lot of time. They're often looking at LinkedIn at work. So sound, it's not a thing, right? So I realized I tried doing videos, and unless videos are like really eye-catching and very simple and very short, but where you get to the point of a very profound thing, but in a simple way, you're just trying to cut out the time it takes for people to get something. You're in LinkedIn, it's this, nothing but scroll, and the audience is saying, what's in it for me? Very transactional, right? So if you can make them, your goal is to make them look good and to make them look quick, right? So, and in a very simple way that anybody can understand. So that's why I say, now, how do you apply that to who your current audience is right now? So if your current audience is a marketing person, how do I become very simple, very visual, very profound, but for the marketing audience? And as your audience starts to grow, it's how do I do that for founders, right? How do I do that for this type of person?
Investors, yeah.
And I just have to keep it simple, man. Anything, I used to have people that used to be pissed off at me. They're like, I put all this work and just put this thing out and it's doing really well. It's just because I was like, here's a very simple hack for everybody. It's the most practical one. If you look at people that have engaged in your post before, go onto all their page, look at their reaction list, and it'll tell you other things that they like.
There you go,
and
gems.
If you prioritize the ones that have the most engagement and get into that rabbit hole, you got your structure.
What happens? Reload it. They come back. Right. Talking of coming back, let's talk about childhood and
life
the fact that both of you grew up in the motherland. I'm going back to the motherland. My mum actually's flown back to the motherland today for the first time since she was 18.
Going home, man.
We're both Congolese, mon frère. On
There
est
you
là.
go. Ça va?
On est là.
Okay.
Tozawa.
Ça pour les Juifs.
You got our Ethiopian brother here.
My
Spent
God.
time in Kenya. What would you both say have been like the mentality you guys have had to adopt in coming here? Because one thing I love about being multicultural society in London, being like a hub, and also just being around the world, is we're interacting with people every day and doing business with people who have all different kind of lived experience. And the sooner you caught on to the fact that that person you wrote a big post about, that person that's not getting English right, they can speak multiple languages and they've got different lived experience.
Yeah.
There's power in that. What do you define as the immigrant mentality in your life today, and what were some things that you took in your childhood that you feel has helped be a superpower for you in what you do today?
Well, so I'm about to become a third-time immigrant, right? So I was born in the Congo, lived in South Africa, moved to England, and now I'm about to move to the UAE. You could almost say like 3.5 because I moved to London. Right?
Yeah.
You feel like
It's a big difference.
Yeah, but if you lived in Birmingham and
We
you moved to
welcomed you, though.
London, yeah, it's a different gig, and I think that my lived experience is that I feel very comfortable being the outsider, and the cool thing about being the outsider is that you start from scratch and you observe, right? And I think that's probably helped me become really great at social, right?
Yeah.
Because what the people that do the best, I believe, in content are those that listen the best, right?
Yeah.
And they understand how people maneuver, how they think, and how they work. I always say that the best people in the marketing game right now, there's levels to it. There's like creativity, I believe, is the bare minimum, right? Because a lot of people think that you have to be creative. I think that it's cool, but there's more to it. The next level down is psychology, people that understand people. I believe that's social, especially, is behavioral psychology at scale. So you need to understand how the psychology or the psyche that people bring into a platform, so the context for you to understand how to like gain and hack attention from that standpoint. The next level down is sociology. There's a reason why Ryanair can get away with some stuff that British Airways can't, because they understand who the brand is to society and how people perceive them, right? And that's why Burger King can make fun of McDonald's, right? But it can't work the other way around. It's because of who they are in society. People like, if you're the little brand, you can actually get away with more stuff.
More cheeky.
Right? Et cetera, et cetera. And then the final one is platform mechanics, and those change every single day. That's the things that we're talking about in terms of like LinkedIn changes every day. So you have to be in there, standing on business. But going back to the whole like immigrant side, I think that just that ability to be able to like analyze your surroundings and figuring out how to almost like navigate accordingly is the thing that's really, really helped me out, is that you have no, almost like, whilst I am Congolese, you don't have any you're almost like stateless, because you're always starting from scratch. So you're an independent thinker. You don't almost like have a herd mentality, right?
Yeah.
Facts.
When everybody
Big
says you
facts.
should do this,
You're like, why?
Yeah.
yeah, you always say why, right? Like you always think why, because
Oh, that's crazy. That's so crazy
Yeah.
that you say that,
Yeah.
because I swear that's the exact same thinking that I had here as well. And it's like, I had the mentality where I'm not even going to change for you, because I've seen so many
break your
different
stories down.
societies.
Like, what countries were you in?
So for me, I was born in Kenya. I would say I've kind of lived in Ethiopia by how much time that I've spent there. Even so, I lived in Kenya from like 0 to like, let's say like 4. I did primary school in Kenya, started off, and then came here, finished primary school, and then kind of got shipped back to Kenya for the first 2.5 years of, I guess, what we'd call secondary school. And for me, like, being back in the motherland at different points of my life actually really affected how I saw things. And I'm not gonna lie, like, going back to Kenya after doing primary school here was really tough, because I'd made so many friends, and like, yeah, it was tough, but it made me strong, and it made me like a different kind of animal and a different kind of beast. When you're seeing how hard people work there, listen, if you don't get the grades, you're getting kept back. Like, you ain't moving to the next class. So there's a mentality where it's like, you have to make it by any means, isn't it? So even when I went back, I had to relearn Swahili.
Yeah.
I was doing tutoring classes, and I actually did pretty all right in my exams, and we did exams every 6 weeks. So for me, I'm not gonna lie, like going back to the original question of how I feel about it, I feel like it's a superpower.
Yeah.
It actually gives me an unfair advantage in life, because not only have I seen what life is like in that country, I can now sort of compare it to experiences of when I go to India. So I've been to India, Mumbai. I'm like, okay, you know what? Mumbai is kind of similar to Nairobi in a weird way. I'm like, in a weird way, it's kind of similar. And then I went to like Manila in the Philippines, and I was like, okay, it's kind of the same, but it's actually kind of different.
Yeah.
It's a bit more futuristic and like there's bare high-rise buildings, and people really live in like small flats. They don't really have stoves in their kitchen because no one really spends time at home. They get food outside. They use microwaves. And I was like, I wonder if Ethiopia is going to be like this in like 30, 40 years.
Yeah.
Like, so it's interesting. You get loads of different perspectives, which adds to your sort of holistic sort of view on life and even business and culture. And yeah.
Talking about life, we were going to talk about the fact you've both been married in the last 2 years. And
There we go.
Exactly.
partnership.
Please.
Both your wives are, you know, higher achieving, consistent people.
Yeah.
I've had time to talk to both of them, and I'm like, this is like real god and solid. Like, I've always found in my business career, it's been hard to keep and get into a long-term relationship because there's always these kind of pinch points where like business is like super tough or super intense, or there's growth opportunities, and relationship has suffered from it at times. And then it's been time for me to go do work with myself. So yeah, how would you
Yeah.
like to unpack this?
Okay, cool. So
Because there's loads of ways.
yeah,
we can
there's
go.
loads of ways. So what I want to do is I want to talk to the young G's. Yeah. Right now we're at the intersection of life where there's new people coming into the workforce. People are starting to look up to us. You know, I'm seeing a lot of my friends some of them getting married, some of them not. But for me, I want to talk about partnership, because marriage is a partnership. And congrats on getting married. It's
Thank
a
you,
beautiful
man.
thing.
Congrats to you too, man.
Congrats. So my first question is, how have you turned it into because when we were in Cannes, we were talking about some of the things that you two have kind of done, how you've both empowered each other in business, in life, get into the bag. Like, it's not just dates and shopping and lifestyle. It's building. You're building some great businesses and a great life together. Like, what advice do you have for the young G's, the 20-year-olds, the 22-year-olds, the 23-year-olds starting to come up in the game and thinking about, what do I look for in a partner and how do I build that thing?
Yeah, do you know what? I don't know where in history we were lied to that being in a relationship is like not a superpower, right? I think for some reason, I don't know what it was. Maybe it's because we used to watch American Pie or some shit when we were younger. But for some reason, it's like society, or at least if you look at like, sometimes what we consume is almost like telling us that, I know we talk about things like freedom and having the opportunity to do whatever it is that you want, and that's cool. But then when I start to break down the more successful people that I know, if you look at it in sports, etc., they all have a partner, right?
It's true.
Because in the chaotic world that is business or that is whatever it is that you do, you need stability somewhere. If everything is in free fall, right? Like a lot of people talk about work-life balance. I think it's blended. I think like I always said, and somebody told me this, and I think it's 100% true. The state that you leave your bedroom or your house is the energy that's actually happening in your brain, and that you don't want other people to see. So if I leave the house and I'm like, I'm proper and whatever, but my house is a mess, that is the real me, right? So if you can be this facade in the business world or something, and then in like your personal life it's unstable, eventually it's going to come out, right? And you want to make sure that you have I'd like to say, like a solid foundation, and have somebody that that understands you and that you understand as well. And the reason why I think it worked for us is because, first and foremost, we didn't have the choice. We met in the pandemic, right? So we couldn't distract ourselves with like the things that people usually do when they're dating. All we had was conversation. Like, how much value can you offer if all you can offer is conversation, right?
True.
So, and the thing is, when we first started communicating, I had nothing else to speak about but the work that I did, because that's all I did, right? I didn't really live life. I was in an echo chamber where my whole world was around my work,
Yeah.
right? Now, when you started to speak about things that was happening in the world, more important things sometimes, I was not even like, I realized that I wasn't well versed at like just life
Yeah.
important conversations. And I think that it was then that I started speaking to my wife like every single day, started speaking about things that are happening in the world, started thinking about things like how to improve communication, started speaking about things like empathy and understanding. Because I think that sometimes as a black man, you think that you have the worst experience in the world, right?
It's not true.
And then when you start to speak and understand like the women's experience and how much privilege we actually have, right?
It's crazy.
You gain so much more empathy. And then I think the big thing that my wife has taught me is how to be empathetic, how to listen to other people. But then also she reminded me who I am, right?
That part.
Because sometimes you believe that you're only loved for what you've got to offer, right? And at that time, I didn't have anything to offer her, right? So ultimately, what you get there is you understand you're with somebody that whether you have everything or whether you have nothing, that actually, at the end, our love is built on conversation. And as long as we have that, nothing else matters, really. Poetic.
I love that. I love that.
Chief storyteller.
Beautiful.
Get people crying on the pod.
Beautiful.
Mr. Elfried Samba, everybody. Now, Alfred, Mr. Elf, we know that you love music, you know, Drake Stan, you know, Mr. Arsenal. What are some words of affirmation or a couple of things that you live by whenever you're feeling down or you need to pick me up?
Do you know what, right? I like to describe myself, or some people used to describe me as toxically positive, right? Like I try, and I think, you know what's helped me out so much is that we talked about being immigrants, right?
Yeah, it's where you come from, man.
But when you go like back home, or when you like, my mom will have a phone call. Like I can guarantee you that every single week, my mom will have a phone call that somebody back home has passed away. I can guarantee. I'm not a
same.
fortune teller, but you can guarantee that from the lives that we've come from, that somebody that you know has passed away, and that's always a wake up call to gain almost like gratitude that you have another day. If that's not my reality, then I cannot be unhappy, right? And if anything, everything that I'm doing is not in pursuit of happiness. Happiness is a present day experience, right? So you need to be able to understand the things that make you happy today. So you talked about Drake music, Arsenal, Nando's, right? Like speaking to my loved ones, hanging out with friends those are the things that make me happy. I don't need any money to do that. Not too much money to do that, right? So I tend to do that as much as I can. So therefore, what I do from a business standpoint is nowhere linked to whether I'm happy or not. It's just based on like how hungry, satisfied I feel, right? So it's almost like, it's more like a game, right? And you disassociate the two. So I can never, if I have a bad day in business, whilst it is very important because especially when you run a company, it's people's lives, etc., etc.
Absolutely.
But at the end of the day, no one's gonna die, right? And when we're dealing with luxury problems, right?
At work.
And there's a lot of people that gain deep unhappiness whilst we're in an environment when you look at the perspective, right? Versus other people. I know people that live in the mud and they're happy every day, right? And I try to channel that, right? It's almost like, actually, going back to the affirmations, is I put myself back in the Congo and I'm still happy. So why the hell would I be sad, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, but then you do get to points when you have downtimes. You do get to points when you have self-doubt. But then if you have a right circle around you, they'll remind you who you are. I didn't go to the gym for a couple of weeks, and BJ was like, "Yo, we're going today," right? Right?
I've done that to
Like,
you,
yeah,
bro.
you got to.
You've done that to me.
Yo, that's the kind of people that, like, you're not going to be happy all the time, even though you have that fresh perspective. But if you have a circle of other people that keep you in that state,
Yeah.
and they recognize that in you, then that's what you need. You need a team. Right? It takes a village.
Another
Big
one. Mr. Elfried Samba. We're gonna
I got all day, bro.
we going to the BBC next, but we're gonna do part 2 in UAE
For sure.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
we're gonna have to.
And it's time to plan New York and time to plan Cannes part 2.
Cannes part 2, baby.
You know,
We're coming.
I think we got level up from the yacht, man. So we're gonna have to like maybe collaborate because our motto right now is collaborate, don't compete.
Yeah, man.
You know,
Yeah, man. A live pod.
come on.
Oh, well, that's
That's coming. Maybe in an apparel brand store before you know it. You know what I'm saying?
Come
There
on.
you go.
If you know, you know. But yes, guys, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I've been your boy Beej,
I'm your boy Seb.
and you've been.
Elfried Samba.
Woo.